Hi, so I'm Matthew Kim. This is my CS8 final project, and so for the big picture of my project, I just wanted to, create something, or create like a game, or I guess a text adventure where the user gets to pick a class and is teleported into a fantasy world where he has to battle monsters and try and beat the end boss, which in my code is the red dragon. And so for some key design choices, I definitely had to go for an adventure function, which is simply just it's just like the battle function, and also it increments days every time you call the function. And once you reach day 10, the dragon will pop up, or has a chance of popping up, basically. And also made it so that the opponents that you face are based on a random number generator from 1 to 5, just to get some like variation, so you're not just facing the same monsters over and over again. You're either fighting a hard monster or an easy monster, kind of like in the game Pokemon. Like, it's not, you don't get the same like opponent every single time, which is something that I really like. And also with the battle function, you also gain rewards. I really wanted to add a reward system, like loot, because that's something that's very essential in games like these. And so that's another key design choice that I made. And also I made the village function, which is very, very important in a fantasy world like this, because in that village function also, like, I use a shop function, because obviously you gotta use the money that you get from beating the enemies to buy some rewards, and the village function, very useful. You get to either visit 3 locations, which are all randomly generated, just kind of get that little variation in it, so you're not visiting the same thing over and over again. And the shop function, which is called in the village function, is just a little shop. You could buy some health potions, which is the only item I have implemented into the game. And I decomposed the problem into the functions that I've made, because just having an adventure function, village function, and shop function, which are all like, you're always going to be either picking one or the other within your journey in Gacha Land. It's just so easy, like, to just like call upon these functions once you've already made them. All I have to do is just, simply just say or type adventure and then 2 parentheses, and then it just does its thing, And I will now go in depth into the adventure function, which is the longest one in my code, and I'll explain how it works. Pardon for any problems, this is a voiceover, and so here's the adventure function. Here are 6 global variables that I'm mentioning in this function. As you can see, every time you call this function, 1 day is incremented, or is added to the day counter, basically. And you can see here for the opponents, it is a random number generated based on 1 to 5, and based on the number you get, as you can see here, if you get 1, here's Wolf, and has 10 health points, does 4 damage, and you get $10 for beating it. And as well as a reward weapon based on melee or ranged, you get a Wolf Fang or the Wolf Fang bow, as you can see here. And here are the other monsters, and as you can see here, if you get number 5 and the day is 10 or greater, then you fight the boss, which is the red dragon. But as you can see, otherwise, if you get 5 basically, but the day is not greater than 10, then it just says you run away, basically, and it calls the adventure function again to restart. And as you can see here, here's the battling part. You can see here, it just says after you picked an opponent, it'll say a wild whatever opponent you got appears. And so while both of you guys have health greater than 0, you guys will be battling, basically. And so you get to either choose attack, inventory, or run. And based on this action, if you are attacking, it'll show your available weapons, which is done here for index weapon and enumerate weapons, and you start at 1. It'll print that 1, and then with whatever weapon, as you can see here, 1.weapon. And since it starts at 1, you are prompted to put the number that corresponds with your weapon. And as you know, lists start at 0. So if you pick 1, which is the first weapon choice, then it'll show here, look, weapons, and then since the weapons list exists, it'll be weapons, and then 1 minus 1, which is 0, which will be the first weapon in the weapons list. And that'll be assigned to your current weapon. And based on your current weapon, if that equals basic sword, as you can see here, the amount of damage you do, or weapon underscore damage, will be equal to basic sword. And same goes for all the other weapons. As you can see here, the value of basic sword is 5, and here are all the other values. And so therefore your weapon damage will be 5 if you pick basic sword, or 1. And so you strike the opponent with your weapon, dealing 5 damage per se if you pick the basic sword. And then it'll subtract 5 from the opponent HP. And then so if the opponent is still alive, it will say the opponent has however so amount of HP it has left, then attacks you for the amount of damage it does. As you can see here, your health points will decrease by whatever opponent damages. And as you can see here, the opponent health points and opponent damage are up here based on whatever enemy you encounter. And as you can see here, if the opponent HP is not greater than 0, as you can see the else thing right here, or it'll be that means you defeated the opponent. And if this opponent happens to be the red dragon, then obviously you win the game and the code quits. But otherwise, for every other opponent you defeat, it'll say you defeated the opponent, and you get a health potion. As you can see here, the health potion is appended to the inventory list in the beginning of the code. And if you're a melee class, you can get the reward weapon 1. If you're a ranged class, you get reward weapon 2. As you can see, here's appended to your weapons list. And so you get money right there. And here's the inventory action. If action is equal to inventory, then it's basically for every item in inventory, it'll print that item, and then it'll prompt you, would you like to use anything in inventory, yes or no? And based on this, if you say yes, and you do have health potion inventory, which is the only item I've coded into the game, then you get plus 20 health points, and it is removed from your inventory. And otherwise, if you say yes, but you don't have a health potion, then it'll simply just say you do not have anything in your inventory. And otherwise, if you just don't have anything, then it'll just say your inventory is empty. And if you choose to run, this is basically just a 50-50 chance, random.choice, true or false. If flee underscore success comes out to be true based on the random choice, then you successfully run away from the opponent you're facing, and it'll just call the adventure function again, just restart the whole thing and begin your journey. And if you get false, then you fail to run away and you end up taking damage. As you can see here, health points minus equals whatever opponent damage. Yeah. And as you see here, if you don't pick anything, it'll just ask you to just do it again because it's not a valid option. And if player health is less than or equal to 0, that means you're dead. So you've been defeated, game over, code quits. And after doing all of this fighting, it'll prompt you with adventure underscore status, which is, do you just want to go to the village or do you want to keep adventuring? And whether you pick village or adventure, as you can see here, if you pick adventure, you'll just be taken on another adventure. If you pick village, you'll be taken to the village, or calling the village function. If you don't pick any, then it'll just ask you to try again. And yep, that is the adventure function.